Okay, hold on a second. So you said a couple things that triggered me. You've got an employee with cancer, or your wife is leaning into full-time ministry. You got a son in Texas right now. What does it mean to you as a man who has people under your roof? What does that mean to you?
So, like everything in life, I'm a pretty simple person. And so what I've learned is that I'm a 25-year overnight success. It's all about putting the reps in. And so what are the reps? And the reps are literally
Men in the Arena Army, we salute you. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Men in the Arena podcast. I'm Jim Ramos, your guide and host, leading you to your best version in Christ in the stress bubble of life and beyond. Welcome to today's episode. Guys, today we're finishing up our series on my newest book, Guardrails, 10 Boundaries for an Unbreakable Marriage. And we're going to come to a crescendo in this series with a good friend of mine for over 20 years, Ty Stoller. So Ty has been married to his beautiful wife, Reba, for 31 years. He's got two kids in their 20s, and they're just doing great in life. Ty is the founder and the president of Sawtooth Fortified. He has grown his business, he would tell you, with God's help, to over 125 employees throughout the entire Pacific Northwest, doing a great job and just crushing it in life. I've been serving Jesus for about forever since I've known you. And the claim to fame with Ty Stoller and Men in the Arena is when we launched this ministry in 2012, Ty purchased our first ever computer that we still have in the Men in the Arena Museum today. So Ty, it's great having the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What did I miss in the intro? Anything?
Oh, you were good.
And he's a barbecuing connoisseur. So how about that
Very
one?
much so, yes. Very much, very much.
Okay, so we've been talking lately. We've known each other since at least, 2006, 7? A lot of years, 20 years?
Yep.
A lot of water under the bridge. So you started this company. So you've entrepreneured this company. You said something. I'll say this, that he doesn't know I'm going to say this. But when we first launched this ministry, I had no idea what I was doing. I never was a lead anything. And I had a group of guys. I think it was Isaac Kearns, you, Denny Elmer, maybe Josh Robinson, maybe, I don't know. And we would meet once a month. And I remember you said something I thought was really interesting. You said, this is all just a game to me. I'm just moving the pieces around and I'm having fun with it. It's a game. And I thought, what a great way to look at this thing. Like we are a piece on the board that God is playing in this grand kingdom drama. And it's very serious because forevers are at stake. But really, it's not as serious as we think because God doesn't need us.
Because then fear will overtake you.
Yes. And one of the things that Ty does that's pretty cool, we do a men's service every Wednesday night. He's got 10 to 20 of his employees coming every week to be discipled. And it's just really a beautiful thing. So anyway, back to Sawtooth Caulking. So I've noticed all of your red trucks have a different brand on there now, and you're calling it Sawtooth Fortified. I know this is raw and fresh. I don't want to put you on the spot, but talk to me about why you switched that branding and the name, and let's walk through that process.
So it was innocent enough. It was, we were coming up on our 25th anniversary, and we knew we needed to upgrade our website, upgrade just our presence. And as we're heading out into different areas, heading down to the Salt Lake market, landed our first contract in Ohio doing data centers, and soon to be Mississippi as well. And
really?
We're very blessed right now.
I thought you were just PNW, but you're like,
no,
whoa.
It's airplanes now.
Red airplanes with Sawtooth Fortified.
Settle down, because I don't think that unicorn's ever going to get there.
That
would be awesome.
I hear you.
But long story short, we were meeting with a brand specialist, and I just said, on a whim, I'm open to a new logo, new thing. And she came back with Fortified, and I went, we're going to change the whole name to Sawtooth Fortified after all these years of being Sawtooth Caulking, etc. And then it just hit me. It was just biblical, because being fortified, a fortified city, just meant it was protected by God. What it meant within our corporate structure was the fact that we have all these guys, we have like 6 divisions within our construction company. And all these guys become very niche, they're very specialized.
Yes.
And so then they feel independent within their own, like
Silos.
Silos. And now all of a sudden we're unified, we're fortified. And that's what it became. And all of a sudden you should have heard them cheer when we brought it up. They were just like, okay, now we're all under one roof. And that's where the fortified came.
Okay, hold on a second. So you said a couple of things that triggered me. And to me, triggering is a positive thing. Things usually die when there's a trigger. So you said under the same covering, but then you said this, and I'm going to ask you about this. You said fortified meant unified. Can you walk us through what that means?
Fortified meant, go back to when Nehemiah built the walls of Jerusalem. How did he do it? He did it because they were all together as a family, as a team, as a people, working to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, correct?
Yes.
And so, thus unified, to build the fortification.
The caulking, it really limits, it limits the vision. Yes. And then what it does is if I'm the caulking guy, and if I'm the cleaning guy, getting it ready, I mean, it just doesn't unify, but fortified to me, like for me as your friend, using the phrase fortified is so much easier, and it feels so much stronger. It feels so much, it feels more resolute.
When they created the vision board for us, because I said I wanted to be bold and a little bit of outlaw with some swagger, and they literally put Clint Eastwood on there.
I was gonna say Luke Combs has a great song about that. Give me an outlaw. Oh baby, come on.
So that's where it came about. So
did they under the brand say wah wah wah?
They literally used the Marlboro background, and I was just like, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, it does
let's
not.
Let's go.
Well, and honestly, let's look. We're going to write a book this summer, and we're going to talk about the difference between men and women based on their career choices. And I would guess that under your business of 125 employees, I would guess that you have 115 men working for you. Is it more than that?
By a couple.
Because men are drawn to fortification. Women are probably in the office mostly, I'm guessing.
We have one superstar out in the field.
Isn't that interesting? Because generally speaking, men are so different than women. When we hear fortified, we go, yes. When women hear unified, they go, yes.
And that's how we've gotten all of our guys. On the average, our employees, the way we start out, I'm always looking for the 19 to 21-year-old that went off to college because that's what we were always told to do. And then they get there and they're there for about a year and they go, I hate this. I also look for athletes. And so then what I can promise them is come to work for us. We give you the locker room that you're missing, that you thrived in. And you just work for us for a year, 2 years, whatever it is, until you figure out what the hell you want to do with your life. And most of them stay. And we teach them how to become men.
Well, I think of one of your guys, AJ, Division I football player, great guy, now 32.
Way smarter than I am.
And then, but you get these guys on your team, you bring them along, and now you're not only fortifying your company, but you're creating a legacy behind you of people that are going to rise up.
And we don't hire from away or out of the organization. We don't promote from out of the organization.
They're
Everybody's
local
built.
guys.
Everybody is built.
That is really, I'm excited about this. So, okay, what do you fortify?
So, Sawtooth, so often people are like, hey, do you caulk bathrooms? Do you waterproof decks? What do you do? And we are on the big buildings. So any of the high rises downtown, 3 stories underground for the parking garages, and we've waterproofed all of that. And then as the building comes up, we will do all of the fire caulking within so that we're protecting it from fire. We'll waterproof all of the decks on the balconies. We will caulk all of the exterior of the whole building. The only thing we don't do on the exterior of the building is roofing. So, but otherwise, we are absolutely protecting a building, big commercial buildings, from weather and from disaster. So, in the new book, in chapter 10, describe fortify to me.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, man. I am discovering, I think I'm 17 books in, I don't know. I'm discovering that when I write a book, every book has a moment where the book gives back. You know, they say from a preaching standpoint that God preaches to the preacher before the preacher preaches to the people. And if God doesn't preach the preacher before the preacher preaches to the people, then the preacher becomes full of pride. So, and these things happen. So God, we have to be willing to come to God and say, God, you need to preach to the preacher. You need to speak to the author. So when I wrote Dialed In, which was the book that our bestseller from last year, I got to a chapter on the leader. And in the pastoral epistles of 1 Timothy 3 and Titus 1, Paul lists 20 qualifications to young Titus on Crete and Timothy in Ephesus. And he says, here are the 20 things. And it was really intriguing to me that out of all 20, he spent more time on this phrase I call the leader than all 19 combined. 2 entire verses, but he didn't use the word leader ever. He never used the word leader. He used the word manager. And so I thought, I kind of nerd out on the Bible. I thought, well, what does that word mean? I looked it up. It's the Greek word proistemi, which in Dialed In, if you read Dialed In, you can watch the morphology of this in my heart. I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. So I wrote about it in the book, but then after that book came out, the book is published, God showed me a picture, like supernaturally showed me a picture, because in the church we, for 35 years in ministry, I've heard people tell men, you're the leader, you're the leader, you're the leader. But nobody's really ever biblically spelled out what that looks like. We know, bring them to church, read the Bible. I mean, at one point, your wife is called to ministry. And at one point, I remember you even told me, I can't catch up to Reba in the Word.
I'm the only one.
But I mean, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying that's pretty normal. Guys are going, I'm supposed to lead, but she's got this natural propensity to these other things. And I thought, well, we need to find a way to teach men about leadership biblically. And God supernaturally, you Pentecostals, you're going to love this story. Like supernaturally, God spoke to me and said, hey, proistemi is a house. So when I have a friend who's got a fortification business, I just think, man, this is a beautiful illustration. So in Guardrails, the last chapter of the book is called Build a Wall. And it has nothing to do with Mexico. I could care less. But God showed me this. And tell me what you think about this. So proistemi means to preside over. I mean, from a fortification business owner, it means to preside over, protect, and provide. And so as I'm looking at this word, and just there's like this rolling thunder in my heart happening, and God said, okay, a man's job is to manage his household, to proistemi his household, along with his bride. He is to be a covering, a roof over his family. In other words, he does not allow things to come through. Like my kids went to public school, your kids went to public school. When we went into public school, we basically walked in and said, listen, hey, we're the parents, we're the teachers, we're going to volunteer, we're going to be here, but if you do anything off script that is not biblical, we're going to have a meeting. Teachers hate the sit-down meeting, because realize your job is to teach, but we're the parents, we're the main teachers. So my kids have a covering. My wife has a wedding ring. That means she's covered. So my job is to protect around. So I build a wall around the outer perimeter of my house. It's a beautiful picture here. And basically I'm like Gandalf standing at the gates of, at the bridge of Khazad-dûm at the gates of Moria, go, you shall not pass. And basically we say, hey, we've monitored when our kids were in the home. They're friends, right? We are very careful to monitor their friends, careful to monitor what comes in through their iPads and their smartphones and the television. Our job is to be careful to protect them from these outside interlopers. Here's where men get it wrong, especially guys. You're highly successful. You run a company of 125 employees over, multiple states across the country. A lot of times, guys in your position go, "Hey, I provided a roof over your head. I provided food for your table," and the kids go off script, because what men fail to realize, there's one more wall they need to build. Within every house, you have rooms. Those rooms are delineated by walls, and those walls represent a human heart. So in your home, you've got Reba, the 2 kids. Is your oldest,
Katie,
your boy married?
Katie.
Katie, and then
Katie is married to Michael.
Mike.
And then Zane is
and
23.
Then, and he's going to get married, and then you're going to have grandkids. All of these people are under your roof.
100%.
And you're not.
Oh, even you hit a point of our age, your parents become under your roof.
And biblically speaking, your employees. So you're managing hearts, but here's the key thing. And I'm going to ask you a question, because I want you to kind of connect the dots for me. So if we look at it using this wall analogy, and if we look at the people under our roof, we look at the people around, inside of our walls, and if we look at the walls within the house, our job, what I say in the book, is the call to leadership is a call to construction. So what does that mean to you when you think of construction in the context of fortification of walls?
So, much like everything in life, I'm a pretty simple person. And so what I've learned is that I'm a 25-year overnight success, right? And so it's all about putting the reps in. And so what are the reps? And the reps are literally showing up every day, being consistent with your kids. Don't have to be friends with them. It is mom and dad lean on God when the tough times come, and then that reflects off to them, right? It's when the employee comes to you and he's going through all kinds of. We have one of our great guys working for us was just diagnosed with cancer.
Stomach.
And yeah, Tom, and and when they come to you, and it's just like, you don't try to answer it with worldly things. You're the example. You're the light, right?
Yeah.
And so it's leaning on God and showing them that light that I got here the same way. Again, we're just putting in the reps.
Yeah.
And so building the walls, protecting their hearts, and then anytime the kids have gone through any issues, and I can speak to them even more than the employees, it's just amazing to watch from afar, and they go, I prayed about it, and this is what God said to do. For instance, Zane ending up at Texas Christian University instead of some crazy freaking school down in California, right? Mm-hmm. And get to do that with the employees. I mean, Big Jamie, all of his troubles over the last year, and he found God. You know what I mean? Like, he'd shown up here several times, but it wasn't until the troubles hit, because he knew that it was my rock, it was other people's rocks, and then it becomes that safe harbor, right? But there's the construction within the house, is you're just always adding on, because you don't quit growing when you're 21. You don't quit growing when you're 53, when you're 60. Okay, that was a low blow.
That hurt, dude. Come on, keep it above the belt there, Ty. Well, it's really interesting. You said a couple things. You said, I'm going to confess something to you. You're going to laugh at this. I was at a men's retreat a couple years ago, and I'm talking about building a wall. And I'm like, man, sometimes you just got to go grab and I couldn't remember the word for trowel. I said spatula.
That's embarrassing.
I had 3 guys in the room who were concrete guys. I got a spatula signed by all the men at the end of this thing. I was like, I had to repent.
Yes.
Spatulas are flipping pancakes, trowels are for spreading concrete. But you said putting in the reps, and I have this trowel illustration, or this guy who's just repping it. And I think the key thing, guys, is what Ty's saying is, man, you can't build a wall if you're not there to build it. You've got to show up. And it's not good enough to show up. I mean, people think I'm showing up. No, you can be on the couch showing up. But you're saying what do you mean by putting in the reps?
Putting in the reps. It could be as simple as, take the average American now. You have COVID, and all of a sudden the sermons are all done via live stream, and so now it's perfectly acceptable to just sit at home in your pajamas and watch the sermon. Are you putting in the reps? Kinda. You know what I mean? But it's like I have all kinds of opinions on
Well,
that.
I'm personally categorically opposed to satellite churches. I absolutely loathe them because, and I never could putting the reps is a layman's term, but I would say you need to go eyeball to eyeball with people in the church, and that's where those relationships are. There's no threat when you're behind a computer.
There's the Tuesday night life group, and it's just the kids know. Mom and dad are going to head to life group. That's our family. And that's what Jesus talks about is that, who is my mother, who is my brother? And it took me a long time to figure that part out, that the life group becomes your brother, your sister, and that it's funny how the family kind of the extended family kind of disappears, because we are a family of Christ, right?
Yep.
And so then the life group shows up for all the birthday parties and all of those things. But It's
Here's a statement I tell the men, and I think this goes with putting in the reps, right? I had the hip surgery 2 weeks ago yesterday. So I have not been able to work out for like probably, if I'm being honest, it's probably been about 2 months. I was duck hunting during Christmas. I just kind of lost steam. And so I'm kind of excited to get back there because I have not been putting in the reps. When I think about putting in the reps, you talk about some of these high level guys in this world, high level. I've got a guy coming on the podcast next week. He won an Olympic gold. He's one of the best skaters in the world, and he has been for years. And that stuff, you quoted Benjamin Disraeli earlier. You said it took all my life to become an overnight success. There is a monotony to success. There is a repetition to success. There is this concept of, as a man who's leading our families, as a man who's leading a company, to showing up so much that's boring. Like your people, if you did not show up, they would be shocked because Ty shows up. So it's becoming that man who is almost boring because they just expect you're going to be in the room.
And so many guys don't realize that needs to be in the home as well. Lead by example.
Okay, so I got a question about wall building within the home. So one of the most often misquoted verses that Christian parents quote back to me when their kids go wayward is Proverbs 22:6. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up your child. Proverbs 22:6 is mistranslated in the Bible as train up your child in the way they should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from it. That is a wrong translation. The original Hebrew literally means train up your child according to their bent, and when they're older, they will not depart from it. So in the context of building...
What does bent mean?
Bent means their temperament.
100%.
Their temperament,
right.
Their personality.
No, then I get that.
Okay. So if we take that in the context of our bride, so Reba, Zane, Katie, Michael, grandchildren, employees, Big Jamie, Little Jamie, Tom, all these guys, right? We take it in that context. What does it mean to you as a man fortifying walls according to the bent of your people?
So, this is when I get to give you words of affirmation. So I'll bring it all
back
back
Which is my
around.
love language.
So I'll bring it all back around. I was part of the second class for Great Hunt for God, right? And it was basically this perfect moment for me. We started in the fall, Isaac and Ben. And at that moment in time, God just set me up. Because at that point, I was just what would you call it? A pew, I'm just a Christian. You know what I mean?
I don't, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean because anyway, I don't know what goes on in the heart of a man. You always showed up, so I figured you were just always around. But I knew you were on a journey.
There. And so then all of a sudden, Great Hunt for God comes around, and we start diving in. And it was an incredible moment. You put it on my heart to start reading the Bible consistently and just start. I mean, and up until now.
Yeah.
So that was fall of 12.
Probably right around there.
And I've read the Bible 8 times now.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And this year, speaking of reps, I didn't know what to do at the beginning of the year. This year, I'm like, I'll just read the New Testament. I go, no, I'll just start back over. It sucks that we finish up the holiday season with Revelation. It's a bit of a downer, not going to lie. But so then when we bring it all back around, we starting in 13, we call it Sawtooth Independence Day. It's coming up. And Sawtooth Independence Day was the day that I finally became a man. And I became a true leader of my guys, of my company. Up until then, I literally was just this chaos manager. There's a good one. Is I'm just trying to make a living. My guys are making a living. But I finally had enough of my guys. I had one guy that I put in charge of everything. And he literally would steal from me. He would take material. He'd have Big Jamie bring him materials. And then he would go, okay. He'd line up Jamie on the job, and then he would go off and go do a side job while I'm paying
For
him.
his own money.
Mm-hmm. At 9 a.m. And so he's double dipping. And I always just kind of turned the other cheek and went, he's making me money. And so Sawtooth Independence Day came around of just, I'm done. And I went from 11 guys to 4. It doesn't sound like much, but
That's a lot of guys.
that was a lot of guys to just, so
Pruned
wrap your
them.
mind around that. April of 13, I'm at 4 guys, and today we're at 125. And it's because God taught me how to be a leader. And along those lines, the weave part of this is I learned that every person, every heart is different. We're not the military. We're not the Marine Corps, it is every guy, in order to put them on the right seat on the bus, in order to coach them to excellence, you got to coach them at where they are and what they're good at. I can't fix everything on a day-to-day basis, but I can continue to put them in a position to win. And so that's what we've done. That's what we've done with the kids. You can't preach to them. You can't preach to them constantly, nag like my mother frickin' always did. It is a matter of show them by example, be there when they need you, and give them words of affirmation and encouragement in order to make the right decisions.
Well, I'm being mentored by a guy named Patrick Morley. He sold like millions and millions of books. And he said something, I'd never heard this before. He said, because we have a strategic framework and a vision, mission, all that stuff, you have it all. I mean, it originated with businesses, right? And he said, strategy is just how we win. That's what strategy is in his opinion. And you made a comment, and I want to ask you about that, and I've got one final question in the 3 parts. So how do we as men identify the temperament, the bent of our loved ones and help them win? How did you got a son and you've got a daughter, so right there, totally different people, different genders. You've got a bride you've been loving for years and years and years, who went from high school teacher to helping run the business to now maybe a ministry person. So how do you manage, in the context of this wall illustration, how do you identify the bent to help them to win? It's a loaded question.
That's way loaded.
Just keep it as simple as you can.
To answer your question, Jim, it is having a still enough heart to hear what they're saying, to understand their feelings, to say what needs to be said, and guide them accordingly.
That's really good.
It also goes back to the very first time of reading my Bible. I remember exactly where I was at when I came across the passage of when Solomon had his first dream and vision with God. Mm-hmm. And what did Solomon ask for?
Discernment, wisdom.
And I went. And so this is all the way back in 12 or 13. And I went, that's all I want. That's all I want. And so from that day forward, that's all I've prayed for. And it is amazing how God has covered me with that ability to be with discernment.
You know what's interesting? Guys, you need to hear this. There are very few times in the Bible that God says, if you pray this, I'm guaranteed I'm going to answer it. And in James 1:5, God says, if you pray for wisdom, I will give it. So if you need wisdom for your household to understand the hearts within your framework, just pray for it and God will give it to you 100%. He'll give it to you,
I pray for it every morning in the cold plunge.
And He gave it to you. Mm-hmm. And so the cold plunge, oh man, I did that for a while. I probably need it for this. Say one last question. I want you to tell me the first thing this means to you when I ask you in the context of Sawtooth fortified and in the context of proistomai, preside over, protect, provide. I'm going to ask you these 3 questions. The first thing that comes to your mind. In the context of your business, you're going to have to tie them together like a little shoelaces here. When I tell you about building a roof as a leader and a family man, what does that mean to you to preside over?
It means every morning when I'm shaving or brushing my teeth, I'm looking in the mirror at a guy, and I put all that pressure on my shoulders to protect and help people grow in order for all of us to win.
So for us to cover, this is interesting, when you cover a people, there's a burden that you carry. Giant yoke. And then earlier in the podcast, you clearly have stated, but the yoke is yours, but God has asked you to give it back to Him, Matthew 11:28, right? Okay, so I think that's really good. I'm writing a book this summer I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. I was going to call it the mantle of manhood.
The publisher will tell you what you
Yeah,
gotta name
well, yeah, they bought it as Bring It. I think it might be called Send It.
Mm-hmm.
But the opening chapter talks about men are created by God to carry heavy burdens.
it. 100%.
He's created us. Our women aren't called to do that. They're called to create a safe space under that burden.
100%.
So I'm going to prove. So anyway, it'll be a really fun book. It's going to be the hardest book. But okay, so the next question is, what does it mean in the context of Sawtooth Fortified and Proistomai manage to build a wall around, a perimeter around those under your care?
It means that I will do whatever it takes. I will have the quiet time to think, to pray, and to process whatever it takes to take care of my loved ones.
Okay, you've said something very powerful. We live in a very busy age, and
The cold plunge will make you slow down. I will tell you that, because you are in a dark, dark place in a cold plunge. So my 3 to 5 minutes a day, I literally just look up at the sun and I just ask for God, because it just slows everything down.
So you have time every day to think.
I always have. I'll drive to Boise with the radio off.
Yep. I find that the times driving are the times that I hear from God more than ever. And I'm not necessarily in a pray mode
No.
as far as talking.
It's the
I'm
Holy
in a
Spirit
prayer
just coming.
mode as far as listening.
Yes.
And that's what men don't realize. We have
don't
2 ears and one mouth. Why would I want to talk to God the whole time? He's the one with the answers.
We can turn off Joe Rogan and just listen.
So to build a wall around is to listen and see what God is saying about the wall. Hey, who needs fortification? You've got an employee with cancer. He's going to need extra. I'm not saying necessarily materialistically, but, or your wife is leaning into full-time ministry. She's going to need some extra, So who are the people, or maybe you got a son in Texas right now. Maybe he needs a little bit of spatula work. I'm just kidding. Trowel work, because there's something going on. So in the context of your business, and the last one, as we speak about the individuals within the walls, what does it mean to you as a man who has 125 people kind of under your wall, under your roof, biblically? That's out of Ephesians 5, Colossians 3, 1 Peter 3. And your family, what does that mean to you?
As I've already said, it is the burden that I carry. But I just look back. In one of our workbooks from Great Hunt for God, and the first time you brought up how you want to finish, which is good and faithful servant.
Yes.
You just want to stare at Jesus and just go and just have him give you those words of affirmation. And it took a long time for that to hit, because I'm not a words of affirmation guy.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I've hit that point of just do good works. Just be good to people. Be faithful. Be generous. Generous with your time. Be generous with your pocketbook. And it's just, just add all of this stuff up. Pray for wisdom, and God will provide. I'm just an average Joe, but somehow I've been pretty damn successful.
Yep. Well, it's funny. We call these local interviews average Joe interviews, and all average means is local. We were going to call it cup of Joe, like you're having a cup of coffee, but the guys that are on this show are not on here because they're average. They're on here because they're doing stuff. You've loved one woman for over 31 years. You've got a company that you almost, I would say never, but almost lost 4 employees, and now look at you. You've been serving the Lord faithfully for all these years. So these are not average things. These are not average things.
But how did I do it? Just by doing average things.
Average things is synonymous to reps over time.
Correct.
Right?
That's it. There's the message.
That's so good, man. Guys, if you haven't picked up this book yet, man, go get it on Amazon. This is Guardrail 10, Build a Wall. I don't know, just to let you guys know, we were not going to talk about this morning. But I'm like, I got a guy who owns a fortification company, and I'm not going to talk about walls. So I think, Ty, I know you're not a words of affirmation guy, but dang, man, you crushed it. Like, this is so good. Guys, listen, build a wall. The call to manhood is a call to construction. So grab your spatula, just kidding. Grab your trowel, inspect the walls, and get to work. Ty, it's been great having the show, man. Sure appreciate this.
Thank you.
What a huge blessing, all you're doing for God's kingdom, and just watching your guys on Wednesday night. To have a guy who's not only paying his employees, but discipling his employees. I don't know if I've ever met a guy who actually is doing that systematically.
Just using my influence.
I know, that's pretty freaking awesome. So thanks, man, for being a man in the arena.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Men in the Arena podcast. We're concluding chapter 10, guardrail 10 of this book, Guardrails. And until next time, feel the wet sand on the arena floor. Hear the deafening roar of the crowd. Taste the sweetness of victory. Smell the stench of battle. Get in the game. Get dirty. Grind it out. Inspect the walls. And be a man.